So I'm just, oh, thank you.
Sorry.
No, perfect. I'm just gonna kind of go through like a welcome statement. Then I'm gonna pass it off to we kind of have like a statement of guidelines. We'll do like some quick introductions and then we're gonna jump into questions. So as far as the welcome, I'm gonna start with saying, first of all, thank you everybody for coming. You are very appreciated, and thank you for people who are participating right now, both on the panel and in the audience. My name is Jersey. I will give a more thorough introduction to myself in a second. But what we are doing here is really, like, I haven't seen any other spaces. If anybody has, please let me know. I would love to like attend and check them out, where autistic people, specifically autistic adults, are, you know, talking about our experience. And I think what happens is it changes the way autism is looked at from like a deficit model, when people are always looking at us and what we're doing and surveying each other, that like talking about autistic people in studies, in education, in school, in life in general, we're often talked about in like a deficit-based way, and that the deficits aren't like really looked into as to like what are we actually experiencing. So our goals here is to really just reframe how autism is talked about with each other and all of you. Feel free, participants, or like attendees, to participate in the chat or not. It's totally up to you. I see some people already are. Yeah, and the last thing is, I'm just going to briefly mention this before, like in the beginning of the roundtables. Usually after these, a lot of people reach out to me asking like, how are people choosing? Who did you pick for this? Stuff like that. This was made in response to an event about autistic people that was not by autistic people during April Autism Awareness Month. And we got such a good response to it. We've been doing it pretty much every month. We skipped some months because we're like humans. And yeah. And the way I reached out to people, I have like several, like 10-year experience in social justice work, like organizing with groups of people. And something I've learned is that to engage in these kind of conversations, even if we don't agree on everything, it's important to come from like a similar social justice lens, whether it's like the way we view autism in ourselves or each other, like how we break down the ideas of like who gets to get diagnosed, like how does autism look differently in different people and things like that. I reached out to quite a few people with both like large accounts and accounts like under 1,000 followers. And the people who got back to me, literally everybody had at least a few thousand followers, which last time I said that kind of makes sense because like the engagement someone like Joris is doing, who has like 1 million followers on TikTok, is going to, it's like very active, right? It's like constantly participating in our own ways. So it makes sense that it would be the same people who are already putting the work in. Not that everybody has to do that. That's totally okay. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna pass it for a screen share to the statement. And if Laura, Melissa, you are comfortable reading.
I can read it for sure.
And are you good, Macy, to share the screen?
Yes. I'm good to share. Hang on. Okay. Share my screen. Let me open this up and share screen.
Oh,
all right.
hey,
Sorry about that.
I just wanted to say to Lauren Newfield, can people be let back in if they leave? Because Lauren Newfield in the comments is.
I think so, as long as we have room, but we have a lot of room.
Okay, Lauren Newfield, if you'd like to, you can just leave and come back and see if your audio works then again. It's okay, these things happen, and You can just take a moment, like take a break and come back, okay? Zoom can be really frustrating. All right, I'm gonna read the communication guidelines now. And thanks, Brenna, for like typing in what I said. That's awesome. Sorry. So we practice healing-centered interactions by being mindful of potentially triggering language and actions and being mindful of our own triggers. Remembering that this is not a group therapy space, seeking first to understand, then to be understood. And this is an example. I feel hurt. I am important. I understand that the group is important. I first want to understand the context of the comment that hurt me, then seek for the group to understand why I was hurt by the comment. And then we also want to scrap societal requirements to perform white social norms, including toxic positivity, neurotypical analytic social norms, class status, etc. We're also going to navigate this space by number 2, which says that we practice leaning into discomfort and challenging conversation. And we're going to do this by gaining awareness of how our intersecting privileges and oppressions inform how we interact with one another, being aware of tone policing and how our own biases may be reenacting oppression in the space, and taking space as well as making space for others. Oh, and then also valuing feedback as an act of generosity and trust by reflecting on feedback we receive before responding. And then number 3, we will practice respecting ourselves and each other by speaking with I and from our own experiences, resisting the urge to compare our neurodiverse journeys, not giving unsolicited advice, staying mindful of pronouns and other gendered language, remembering to tell our own stories, and keeping community members' identities confidential, only sharing with explicit consent.
Thank you. Cool. Yeah, thank you so much, Laura Melissa. I'm just going to give a brief introduction to myself, and then we'll popcorn it. So I'll do mine and then give it to someone else on the floor. So yeah, my name is Jersey, or Jersey Noah. My pronouns are he and or they. They can be used interchangeably. I am a transgender autistic adult. I feel like I should say I'm Jewish because it's like the big Jewish time of the year, September. So anybody celebrating, happy holidays. And yeah, I was originally diagnosed, like didn't know what was going on in my life. I'm 36, in my 20s, I was diagnosed with ADHD. Following, I was diagnosed with like a whole bunch of things like sensory processing disorder, like severe anxiety, PTSD, like all these things that eventually I met autistic people and got a therapist who works with autistic people and really helped me like understand myself, and that all of these things I experience are part of autism. And it was really eye-opening and awakening for me. I have a green shirt on and I'm wearing glasses and they're kind of adorable. In my background, it's mostly a white wall. There is a kind of like collage painting of dinosaurs, which is also adorable. And I am going to pass it to Macy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Macy. I'm proudly autistic, self-advocate, founder of the nonprofit here in San Francisco Bay Area called Autism Career Pathways. I dream about all autistic people, neurodivergent people, getting more opportunities to be successful in their own employment, more opportunities in our communities. Let's see, I am a very late diagnosed autistic woman. I am a mom to 2 teenagers. We are a proud chicken nugget family. Let's see, Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My processing is very slow today. So, okay, so I'm sitting here. This is where my family lives, obviously, where the only TV is in the house, and this is where we live most of the time. I'm wearing my new t-shirt that says Born Different, created by an autistic designer, Andy Renegade. I love supporting autistic owned businesses. Um, yeah, Autism Career Pathways is the fiscal sponsor for Autistic Roundtable. So if all of you guys can donate, we would really appreciate it. And the easiest way to do that is to use Venmo, and I'll type in our handle number here in a second. So I think I covered everything, right?
I totally just typed it in. You like read my mind.
Okay.
Who do you want to pass it to, Macy?
Passing it to Lauren Melissa.
Hi, I'm Lauren Melissa. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm also known as AutiNL online. I am a Black multiracial woman, and my curly hair is tied up. I'm wearing a black cardigan, and I have a white background with a fake green plant. I am autistic. I was autistic. I was diagnosed with autism at age 23. I have been autistic my whole life. And I identify as queer. I really passionately believe in a mantra that I hold for myself, which is autistics nurturing autistics, and strongly believe that autistics need to be centered in conversations around our needs, supports, strengths, hopes, wishes, etc. And in my professional life, I am an instructional support specialist for a program that provides professional development and consultation to K through 12 teachers in the hopes that we can foster more inclusive classrooms for autistic students. And I'm going to pass it to Tiffany.
All right. Can y'all hear me? Okay. I'm Tiffany, or Tiff, or Tiffy. Black autistic ball of awesomeness. Background is a bunch of.
I'm sorry, that was so funny, and like it should be an autistic identity.
I got stuck. I was like, fill that in. I was like, crap. My background is a bunch of pictures and degrees and notes to myself to make myself feel better. I got Grogu, my sidekick. I have on a beanie cap and an EEG machine, which has become one with me. It's awesome. There's tape everywhere. I look amazing. I run the page Fidgets and Fries. I am a writer, self-advocate, diagnosed when I was 18. I have 2 kids. They're both autistic, 14 and 12. Yeah, yeah, that's it. I'm good. Oh, I have passed. They're gonna type, right? Sandra and T, or do I just say like, hey?
Yeah, you can pass it to whoever, and like always, we'll be patient with people writing.
Yeah. All right, I'll pass it to Sandra.
You could put questions in the, I don't get the questions. Well, let me see if they show up for me. Oh, they do. Yeah, you could put questions in the Q&A box. That's probably actually easier. Okay, in case Sandra needs a minute. Did we lose Joris? Okay, Tia, if you're ready, go for it. I'm just gonna give people another couple minutes.
Nate, someone wants to know the name of your stuffed friend.
It's Grogu from The Mandalorian. And everybody keeps calling him Baby Yoda. And I feel like in my head, I want to like explode. It's not Yoda. Gosh. Jeez, guys. Oh, let me show him again though. This is so
Oh my God, that is so cute.
It's the
I'm gonna
perfect size.
I'm
Perfect
gonna jump
size.
into questions, mostly so there isn't pressure on Tia and Sandra to like sit still and answer everything that comes up. But I'm just gonna put something in the chat. Tia and Sandra, feel free to introduce yourselves. Answer questions. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to jump into some questions. The first three I put in the chat. I will do that again. So we're going to start with what does success mean to you? It's kind of a broad question. Obviously, we'll break it down a little more as we go. So what does success mean to you? Feel free to answer the next ones, or we can do them separately. What does success mean to you? Like, do you think about your future? And what do you picture for yourself or like the world in general?
Oh.
And, go, yeah, whoever wants to start.
I can go. Do you want us to do all three at once or just the first one and then
however it flows for you, like
go from there?
Yeah.
Okay. I think for what success means to me is like the number of smiles I give myself, or raising my boys to the best of my abilities and supporting them in ways that work best for them, doing things that I love and not feeling guilty about it, is generally how I measure my success these days. Like, how happy am I on any given day? And like, success for me is not like, it's not measured day to day. It's not this culmination of things. It's not like this totality of my life from like, what all have I done since age 18 until now? It's nothing like that. It's like, I think where so many people fail is because they don't fully understand what drives them or what truly makes them happy, or they don't know their purpose yet. So for me, success and being successful is completely individualistic. And yet we spend our lives chasing other people's interpretations of what success is. And I feel like you can only measure success when you truly know what that means for you and only you. And I'm going to end that because I don't want to keep doing like multiple questions. So that's what I got for success for me. Yeah. And I'm done. I think.
Hi, T.
Hi, T. I think, oh, Sandra introduced themselves. So I'm going to read that. Sandra introduced themselves in the chat box, so I'm going to read their introduction. Hi, I'm Sandra. She, they, Black, genderqueer, femme, late diagnosed ADHD at 40, self-diagnosed autistic a year later, and learning about it all daily and discovering more about myself each day. I run the Indie Narratives page and have a kid, he, they, who's 7 years old. I'm a writer, teacher, podcaster, and work with neurodivergent people in a coaching and narrative therapy capacity. Here tonight from the UK and originally from Canada.
I feel like we should end with that with like here tonight from the UK and originally from Canada, Sandra. Everything is like a TV show to me. Sorry. And something I just wrote earlier, I don't know if you saw it in the chat, T, but for T and Sandra, feel free to introduce yourself and answer questions as you see fit, and we'll be checking the chat. And I'm going to keep putting the questions that were on in there.
And I'm going to piggyback off of Tiffany's response to the question about success. And she mentioned that, you know, there's this pressure to chase other people's definition of success. And I think that that was a pressure that I really, really put on myself, especially in undergrad and college. I was like constantly chasing after being a straight A student, taking max amount of classes and every single extracurricular. This is prior to my diagnosis. And I really burned out and I wound up in like a ton of chronic pain. I wound up with massive anxiety and I wound up just in a really difficult place, mental health wise. Um, and then over time, I started to develop a different definition of success for myself. Ironically, I actually had someone ask me what success was for me last weekend. And it really made me think about what success is for me. And success for me is very much, in a way, tied to meltdowns. Meltdowns are a huge part of my story as an autistic. And I used to have meltdowns 2 to 3 times a week. I've mentioned this a lot. And it was really hard because not only was the meltdown itself really difficult, but the fallout and having to like bear this burden of potentially like offending or hurting other people during my meltdowns carried on throughout the rest of the week when I wasn't melting down and led into another meltdown and led into another meltdown. It was a nonstop cycle. And then I began to make adjustments to my environment and to my life, and also to make my boundaries more clear and my needs more known and surround myself with supportive people. And now I haven't had a meltdown since December 31st, 2018. And this is really important for me because for me, success is tied to me feeling mentally healthy, and also not relapsing into depersonalization, derealization disorder, which I have. And this is tied to like my physical health. It's tied to me being hospitalized multiple times as a result of meltdowns. And so for me, I actually tend to measure my success by, am I filling my days with the things that make me happy? Like Tiffany's mentioned, with the things that bring me peace. And if I stop doing that, I immediately notice. I immediately notice that I have veered from that and I no longer feel successful. I feel like I'm surviving. So I would say that's how I define success for myself personally.
Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Yeah.
Like, how do you like fill your day with things you love or like bring you joy without like overfilling your day?
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you asked me that because I have this problem with overfilling my days. And a lot of people actually ask me, like, how on earth do you, hey, Maisie, I think you sent a message to Lauren, but you accidentally sent it to only the panelists, so she didn't receive it about the recording. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. Telling my I've had people tell me that, like, how do you do so much in a day? And I realize it's because my day is divided between like work and my interests, my special interests. And so since it's like something that I'm very passionate about and special interested about, it doesn't take the same drain. It's like it fills my cup instead of like pouring out of my cup. And so like making posts on Instagram or doing my yoga certification or doing um, writing novels, things like that that I really love, they fill me with energy and they fill me with joy. And if I don't do those things, if I were to just sit and like not do those things, I would be restless and exhausted and tired. And so that's for me personally, that when I tap into those interests, maybe it overfills my day, but it fills it with joy. And so I actually feel better mental health wise afterward. When I do get 8 hours of sleep every night, that's very important for me.
I feel like I have in-person friends that remind me so much of you. Yeah. Like how you're autistic, like some of my in-person autistic friends remind me so much of you. I just wanted to say T introduced themselves. T is 26, autistic, and their IG page is unmasked, masked, unmasked. Yeah.
I want to respond to what success means to me. It means progress. So progress means like maybe knowing when I'm stuck, first of all, so that I know how to uh try to unstuck myself. So I think that's progress. And I used to have these big standards ahead of me, but I don't know how to take the first step. So I think now for me, if I have like 5 things I have to do, I'm kinder to myself. And if I can do 2 out of 5, that's progress for me. I try to learn something every day if I could. I give YouTube full credit for helping me to become a more capable person. I think you know how people always say, oh, autistic kids watch too much YouTube clip. I love YouTube. I watch a ton of YouTube clips to like anything from sports or I think for me, learning about different things to make things, anything, and making time to do that, just learn something new every day. It's progress for me instead of just being stuck. So that's progress for me.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to all of this. This topic kind of came about because I put up a post about success, and it was Macy's idea to talk about it in the roundtable. And I was feeling like I have a lot of shame and frustration in myself and how I'm treated based on like what people think I'm like able to do, or even like what I am able to do, and then what people assume I want to do with that, right? Something Laura Melissa was saying about meltdowns, like like I said, I worked in like social justice organizations, so mostly political nonprofits after the first time I went to college, and I was so good at it, like freakishly good at it. Like, people say like, of course this is a stereotype, but like autistic people have their things. One of mine happens to be like, I don't even really understand what's different about it, but how I can like plan a campaign or like kind of like see the end result of something like this, like what a group of people doing together can do. And I can't really break down the steps for someone else, but like the process to get there, I'm really good at it. But when I didn't know I was like overexerting myself all the time. This group is like a really good example of like the flexibility I need. Like it's really different to organize with a group of autistic people, especially who I think we've all done a lot of like self-reflection. Not that like we're the best at it, I'm definitely not, but of like our own needs. And sometimes we do like apologize to each other. Like we all know some of us are going to skip some of these sometimes. And sometimes that comes with an I'm sorry. And everybody else in the group is like, nothing to be sorry for. And I just think about how like if I had been being communicated to that way throughout like my like work career so far, and school too, I really especially my first undergraduate, I really struggled. if there was that kind of flexibility for me to allow my brain to work in the way it works, right? Like the things I'm able to accomplish that make me feel good and happy, and like, it's very rare to have a space like that. So even putting on like, you know, something Tiff said about like what success is, like it made me think about how success is so often measured in like, can we keep a job? Can we get a job? Like, are we financially stable? Are we working towards financial stability? It's all like revolves around this kind of productivity culture, and it's like, I know it's okay to not like succeed in that way, and I also like, I can say all these reassuring things to people who struggle with it, but when it comes to myself, I just have like a ton of shame around it, of like blaming myself for being broke, right? Like things like that, where it's like, I know that's not my problem. Like I know at this point, like there are so many factors into like what makes somebody broke, right? But it's true that like our success, or like everything about us, is measured on what we're able to accomplish by often by other people. And so I'm really in myself trying to break that down right now. Like how Laura Melissa said, they need to, you know, work and then fill their day with things they love. I need like a ton of rest. I think it's definitely, I'm autistic. I also have seizures, and the amount of rest I need, I think, is like shocking to most people. Or if I'm like casually hanging out with someone, I'll fall asleep for 10 minutes, you know, or I could spend more than half my day lying down, and like because I need that, you know. And I feel like that's the kind of thing like we don't talk about that much. We talk about rest in like a general sense, but not like, hey, like knowing that about ourselves, like how Laura Melissa knows they need to do the things they love as a piece of their day to like to be okay, right? To not just be in survival mode. That's like how I feel about rest as well. Yeah. And I'm gonna read what T just wrote. Oh, are you replying to somebody? Me too, because I'm applying for disability and it's hard to not feel bad about what I can't do anymore. Or as well, people think I don't want to work. I just want to work in a way that doesn't burn me out. Exactly, 100%, exactly.
And I looked into what it means to like work, like go to work, because I was starting to get this feeling that when a lot of people are saying that they work from 9 to 5, they're not working from 9 to 5. But because I don't know, maybe because I'm autistic, I can figure out exactly what's going on. So I went to my handy dandy good friend named Google, and I looked it up. How much do people really work in a day? And I discovered
That is
that
like the best, one of the best autistic Googling events I've heard about.
And I discovered that most people, when they go to work, are productive for 3 hours. And the rest of the time, they're talking to their colleagues, they're making coffee, they're eating, they're online shopping, they're on social media, they're texting, and they're reading the news. And when I saw that, I thought to myself, I have been working from 9 to 5, like every day, sometimes not taking a lunch. And why? Like why? Like I almost felt like somebody told me the biggest secret that I'd been purposefully kept out of. And so that kind of allowed me to give myself some more permission to take breaks at work and be like, wow, I just finished another Zoom call for work. I am going to sit away from my screen, drink some water, and maybe shut my eyes and not like push myself to follow rules that have been set for me by non-autistic individuals, that those individuals, those non-autistic individuals, aren't even following themselves. So that was kind of a liberating moment for me, and that like literally just happened like a year ago. So
That's awesome. That's like, it literally just taught me something, you know. Some of the other questions, and feel free, people in the chat and panelists, to jump back to questions, but I'm going to move through them. This one I thought about, like, do you think about your future and like what are the future and like what do you picture? I thought about this because it's something I really struggle with, to like imagine my future. And so I'm actually really interested in what you all have to say. And yeah, I actually have a harder time imagining my future versus like the future overall, you know, more like where do I fit in kind of thing. I just like don't have images of it.
I guess I'll answer that one. Do I think about the future? I want to say like all the time, but I don't travel that far because it's like anxiety inducing. But I do recognize the benefits of, what would you call it, like perspection. And so like I think in pictures. So that's all that's up there is like pictures. So then like I often like kind of like live there. And so like the idea of basically simming my way through life, like one of the little characters on SimCity. Like I create all these different little scenarios in my head so I can decide like what decision I should make. But then I have like this weird relationship with hypotheticals. So I treat all future situations as things that most definitely happened instead of things like, what if this happens? So then I play it through to the end, make a decision there. But like I said, I don't travel that far, like maybe like a few months. But like I'm in therapy, and I the only reason I'm able to travel a few months ahead is because of therapy. Like I have issues seeing myself beyond like a certain period. Like I can't see myself. Like, what am I going to be doing when I'm 45? Or like, and I think it also scares me because it's like, am I at that point in my life right now where I want to be? Then what am I going to be like when I am like 10 years from now? Like, am I going to be in the same place? Am I going to be better off than where I am right now? Am I going to be worse off? And then I kind of like ruminate on those things, and then I don't get anywhere. I don't move forward. I don't move backwards. I kind of just stay in that same space. So as far as I go is like a few months. That's all I can handle. Like it's September now, and I mean they started talking about blue pumpkins like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I can't even. I like why Halloween ain't even like I can't even get past like. So it's like I start to like like it's too much. So I do think I think about the future, but only in terms of that I can't think that far into the future. Like, what is wrong? Like, why can't I go that far? Why
This
can't I
is
help
so
myself?
right.
So it's like, so it's challenging because it's like I sit there. There's a lot of things that I know and that I find the benefit of. It's just I can't find a way to do it myself. Like, you should drink like all this water per day because it's good for you, but you can't really figure out how to get it down. And that's how I am with thinking about the future. Like I see the benefits in doing so. It helps with goal planning and achieving your goals and motivating you to get to the next steps, but I can't figure out how to do it. So I don't go that far. I don't travel that far. It's like a few months. That's it. That's all you're getting out of it. And I can't see next year. I can't see 2 years from now. But I love this question because I was hoping that everyone else could help me with it because I can't do it like at all. So I was hoping to get some tips. Like,
Well, even what you're talking about, I feel like it's helping me understand what I do. Like I couldn't even really articulate that, you know? Like I feel like you're, and I know what you mean about therapy. Therapy has helped me too, but I feel like the process I'm in therapy right now is like chilling the fuck out about like even what's ahead in the day, you know?
Yeah.
And like the week, tomorrow, like if I start thinking about tomorrow, sometimes I become absolutely, I like shut down, you know? And it's really cool. Also, I kept writing that I love that you're talking like a time traveler. I'm just stop there and pass it to whoever's next.
I am a time traveler to Jersey. Gosh, tell the secrets and everything. I've been here before. That's why that's why I'm so awesome. So repeat.
I'm literally reading Parable of a Sower right now. Has anybody read that? You know, and it's the way you talk even reminds me of how it's written. Yeah.
Because I've been here before. I keep saying that.
I have so many thoughts about time and autism, but I also want to make sure that T left a comment not too long ago about work and said, for me, people don't think you have a work ethic. And if you can't produce as much, it doesn't matter if you work just as hard. If you can't produce the same way, you're lazy to people. And I feel like that also connects to kind of my feelings about um, time in the future. I used to be a mega planner, like the kind of person that had. Rosie, you're smiling at me like I knew it.
I'm like literally thinking of this like new friend I've made that I was already like feeling the parallels and they were gonna come, but they can't. I hope they watch this and see that I'm talking about them. And it's like I pictured the planner that I saw yesterday when you said that, and I was just like, oh, I love this. It's so different from me. It's like there's so many things that I feel in common with you, and like, but I love seeing these like differences in autistic people that were so like either regimented by or refused to be regimented by. Anyway, go on.
But I used to be that big 5-year, 10-year planner. Um, and then I realized that it was kind of leaning on this idea of what other people viewed as success. Like, and if I don't do these things, then I didn't achieve, then I'm lazy, then I didn't try hard enough. And what really kind of brought me out of that in a lot of ways was this period of time where I was caregiving for someone who was passing away, and I was doing so much every day, working and caring for that person, that I could no longer plan. And actually, to take care of that person, I had to give up my plan. Like I had a plan, and then I had to cancel the plan to go care for the person. Not that that person needed to feel any kind of like weird way about that. It was my choice, and I wanted to be there. Um, but it was during that time that I really started to reflect. And what I've landed on now is that I plan for the future only for future things that I can do, that I can actually make changes in now. So, like, I'm not going to be planning to buy a house unless I actually have the ability to save. I'm not going to be planning to do this, that, or the other thing unless I can do it, like, unless I can actually see tangible things today towards the plan. Otherwise, I can put it in the dream box and I can open my dream box when I want to, but I'm not going to start planning for things that I personally can't actually do, because then I'm just going to beat myself up over about it. So that's kind of the way that I view the future. That being said, I can't actually see the future at all. I don't see in pictures, I see in words. So everything that is spoken to me, everything that I imagine, I see words in my brain before I see anything else. And so that's another reason why I have to be careful, because if I think of something that I can't do, I start like literally seeing like the plan get mapped out. And that can bring a lot of fear and within myself, or feelings of shame that I don't need and nobody needs. Yeah.
Well, that is so interesting. I think like Tiffany, but the same thing happens to me if I go down like a site like let's say like the end thing, the worst thing that could possibly happen is like losing housing. Like that's if that's like worse, like a train of thought, like something happens with money today and it's like not affecting my housing at all, right? But it's like the picture process is just like so quickly goes through everything and ends at me without housing. And I think it reminds me of what you're saying. And it reminds me of what Tiffany was saying about like how it can be so anxiety inducing. So I almost feel like it's a coping mechanism to like be like, can't deal with that right now. But it's not a very, like, I definitely do a lot of avoidance. And I feel like that's what I'm trying to unlearn. You see that T said, that's the thing. I think with autistic people are always telling us to think ahead, think before you do things. For something that just isn't neurotypical that we do, we end up becoming anxious people. And then people tell you to live more in the moment. The anxieties of, that's so true, yeah. The anxieties of others and especially parents rub off on us. And then they said, I actually did not start out as an anxious person. I was the no sense of danger kid kind of autistic person, including walking into the street. Other people made me this way, and I'm kind of mad about it. That's relatable. I would say I've become like a very anxious person throughout my life, where I feel like inside I can tell that I feel this like freedom to not feel that way, but it's really hard to access because of people's responses to me throughout my life. Again, feel free to keep answering the same questions. I'm also throwing other ones in there that T just started touching on.
So I want to say that I think the future is just a destination for me. It's very fuzzy. So I think as long as I'm moving forward and how I get there doesn't really matter. I do dream about a future where it's just like all about me and my autistic self, you know, where I don't have to worry about, I don't know if you all can relate to this. Like I really rely on categories and boxes. Like everything has just to make sense of, just to manage that I have my folders. And as a parent, I can't do what I want, even though my autistic self would like just to do these things that I prefer doing, but I can't do that. So I think in the future, if there is time for me to just stay in my own path, I suppose, and just do that, I think that's good. That I don't have to juggle everything. You know, right now it's really hard to just show up sometimes for myself or for other people. So I don't know, maybe in the future, if there is a place that I could just do that more. I don't know. I'm not making any sense.
No, you totally are. It's actually really beautiful. I feel like what you're saying is really beautiful.
Thank you.
I threw some more questions in. What expectations are put on you to succeed? Are the expectations like attainable and or things you want? Go on, Lauren. Melissa.
I wanted to ask a follow-up question to Maisie, and maybe Tiff might want to answer. And if neither of you want to answer because it might be too personal or something you don't want to dive into, like you don't have to. But I was wondering how it feels being a parent and like imagining not only your future, but like if people put pressure to imagine the future of your children too, or like putting pressure on yourself. And if that's somewhere you don't want to go, like, please don't feel pressured to go there. It came up in my mind.
Um, I think that's part of the reason why I don't like to think about my future, because it's so intertwined with theirs. And I kind of like, I don't have this whole thing called life down yet, but if I'm being honest here, I have it down more than my children do. And so if I did dare to think about my future beyond a few months, then I would see that I'm still probably kind of doing okay, but I have no clue how they're gonna do. And then the further that I go, the more sad it gets, because it's like, I know this entire world without my children. I came into this world not knowing my kids. I came into this world just knowing my mom and my grandma. All they know in this world is me. So when I'm gone, what's that like? When like my mom knows this world without me. When my mom's gone, what? Like, so it's like future, thinking of my future is so locked with theirs that I avoid doing it. And I try to convince myself that it's because I don't really know what it is that I'm doing with my life, when it's really I just don't like to think about it because the world sucks. And the older that I get, the more that I realize is that I'm going to leave my kids in this world that sucks. Like, that's just what it is. Like, who's gonna care for them? Thank God there's nobody that can care for them the way that I do, the way that my husband does. You know, and we're my son's 14, and we're trying to figure out guardianship and and just all of that stuff. Like, and we're just like, they sit down, they ask you the questions like, do you have a living will? Do you have somebody that your child can go to? And I avoid that stuff because I'm like, I don't have no one. We don't have no one. I have my husband. My husband has me. We're it. That's it. So it's I don't like future thinking. Like, I don't, not right now. I know I need to do it. I know I need to think about it. I know I need to get that together, because I don't want to wake up one day and be like, oh, all these years have passed. I didn't really plan that out, but it's hard to think about. And then, yeah, it's hard. I can't even figure out how to word it, like how to put it out, how to put my thoughts together in a way that makes sense. Man, hold
Well,
up.
it makes so much sense. It's like, as someone who's like not a parent, it's like, it makes a lot of sense. So,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Tiffany, I think everything you do, the way you put your thoughts on paper and the way you just share your stories, I think you make such a big difference in the lives of others, just as you're putting your thoughts down. That's really incredible. And I think intuitively, because I kind of do the same thing, you know, like I'm very worried about autistic kids and what's going to happen to them. Like the kids that I work with and my neurodivergent 13-year-old, and because the world is so unwelcoming to each other, you know, in a sense that, I mean, I've always been very restless. Like I love to do projects. I always have a project. And that it comes from that worry place. And when I started a nonprofit, ACP, I tried to learn, like, what are companies looking for? Why aren't they hiring autistic people? You know, I talked to so many CEOs and I got really, really sad. I was feeling really, really stuck, you know, and it's like, what does it take for workplaces to be able to just keep an open mind, you know? So I have a non-speaking, my mom's youngest sister. And in my family, they're more neurodivergent people than neurotypical. So that's just part of who we are as a family for many, many years. So we learn to take care of each other, but I don't see that outside of my little family, you know? So that's why, like, I'm not afraid to take on big project. In a way, that's my island. Like, that's where I'm going to go. You know, it's still fuzzy, but I'm going to just somehow like figure out, like when you sail to an island, there are a lot of variables, like eventually, like as a community, if we work together, we're eventually going to get there. I don't know when, you know? So I think that kind of sense of, I don't know, anxiety, uncertainty, it does drive you, you know, but because I know my identity, I know my limitations, I have my own like group of autistic people with different kinds of expertise and their own perspective, like we're going to get there eventually, you know? So that's how I'm just thinking, okay, if you can't package it this way when it comes to employability, let's do it in a different way. That's why I have this project, the Better Community Project, which is like we want to certify eateries and libraries to be more sensory inclusive. You know, I just keep redoing it, repackaging it. It just, I don't know. That's just, but I'm exhausted. That's just, I don't know, because there has to be a better way in the future, 5 years, 10 years, you know, I'm not going to give up. So anyways, I'm rambling, sorry.
No. Really love it. Again, I just keep adding questions to the same questions to the chat over and over, but everybody feel free to go backwards or not answer some or answer whatever you'd like. Yeah, and thank you, Macy and Tiffany, for yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just to kind of like bounce off of it, like expectations to succeed in what I actually want. This has taken me, like I was just talking about, like my career in social justice work, and every 2 years I burned out in like a way Laura Melissa was explaining, like so sick, like absolutely could not hold a job, like just crash and burn, seizures, like complete disaster. And it's like I finally hit a point where I was like, what am I like doing this for? You know, like, and it was so much like the expectation, like that is put on all of us to like succeed, like financially, to succeed, like to have stability in our lives, financially, and to like participate in a system that prioritizes productivity, right? And I feel like that's really, really obviously put on all of us, but it's really interesting in neurodivergent people, because for me, the more pressure that's put on me to like act and behave in a certain way, it reminds me of something Laura Melissa was saying before about how like the average person in the workday only actually works 3 hours. And then T said something, I can't remember what it was, but it made me think about how like, and you know what, like if I'm just given those 3 hours, I will like, and it's something I enjoy doing, like what I'm able to accomplish will go like beyond what a lot of people accomplish in an 8-hour day, whether it's like related to work or not. But it's like even being somewhere for 8 hours, all those things Laura Melissa was talking about, that it like happens outside of the 3 hours people are working, like the social interaction, the eating. All I could think about when you were saying that are like how those are things I don't like to do. Like I don't like to eat around people very much, or like if I do, it's different. Like I'm sitting on the floor or something, you know, like I don't like the kind of social interaction that happens in workplaces. I find it very, very confusing. Most people end up hating me because I don't engage in it and they just think I'm a huge asshole. And so the amount of energy in those like other 5 to 6 hours of the day, even if you're only working 3 of them, like it's going to be very different for neurodiverse, like autistic people, right? Like, but if somebody gives me 3 hours and is like, here's a topic of interest you can excel in, and I can do it in my own way, on my own time, in my own space, it will have a very different outcome. But the expectation of that like 8-hour workday and like that's what creates stability, like that's what creates happiness. Not only is it not something I want, it's like not attainable for me. And it's taken me a very long time to realize that. And I would say like I'm still not okay with it because people meet me or know me and are like, that's something you should be doing based on what they see of me, right? And don't know like the 10 years of meltdowns and like how Laura Melissa was saying, like, if you're like, I was that autistic person who went into a job and like worked the entire time, didn't want to socialize. So like Laura Melissa said, like didn't take breaks, you know, like it was, I didn't know. I don't really know how to pace myself, right? And so, yeah.
Yeah, pacing, right? This idea of pacing. But like, why is society made in such a way that we're supposed to pace? Why can't we just like work for an hour and get it all done? Why do I have to pace my productivity? Why do I have to limit my hyper focus to fill 8 hours? Why do I have to do that just so I can warm my desk? You know, so I think that this is one of those examples of why we need more autistic and neurodivergent voices bringing up innovative ways to think about work in the digital era, because work is currently still like the way the workday is set up is still set up around the industrial age, and it doesn't translate. And I think that neurodivergence, autistics as we are in this space, but neurodivergence in general are really starting to bring up these things and these changes that need to be made. I want to talk a little bit about success and pressure to succeed outside of work and like kind of think about it when I was a kid and like the ways that people talk to me about like what it looked like to be successful, like what how I was supposed to do sports. I can't do sports. How I was supposed to do I was supposed to have friends and be going out and have a tight friend group. I was supposed to dress in a certain way. I mean, we still get that now. Supposed to look in a certain way, act in a certain way. A lot of the time, it was following like white dominant cultural norms, and there were just a lot of things that like this is what success is. I was getting it from my parents, my teachers, my friends, myself. In the end, and it was never actually about what I liked a lot of the time. It was like I felt like anytime I wanted to talk about what I liked, like I love writing, I love this kind of music, I love these things, people were constantly telling me like, oh, that's not good. You need to do these things to succeed. You need to look this way to succeed. You need to dress this way to succeed. And letting go of that and shedding that has been really hard because it's not just in the voices of the people that talk to me, it's everywhere. It's on the media, like it's on TV, it's everywhere. And it's like really difficult to fight alone against that narrative. And that's why I'm so glad that there is a neurodiversity movement. So like when I am down, I can see others lifting us up. And then sometimes I can be that person when I am up and other people are down. And of course, there's no movement that's perfect. And there are lots of issues, and we could spend a whole round table hashing that out. But in this moment, I just kind of like want to think about how, like, I don't think that I would have believed that my thoughts around finding success in a way that kept me mentally healthy, in a way that was about freedom of expression despite cultural norms or societal norms. I don't think that if I had had that a community of people saying that with me, that I would feel as strong in being able to push forward into defining success for myself.
I see that two of us were at 100%. Yeah, totally agree. Like, I would say I still haven't quite found it in myself, which is like part of what inspired these questions and also why I needed help with them. I don't think TJ's in here, but TJ really helped me like figure out what to ask, because again, like I said something like this earlier, where I see the that I'm still learning to like take the expectations off myself that I would never put on other people. And yeah, it's a process. T said, I can give an example from schooling and college. The minute they added multiple classes is when I started failing. Basically, I needed to take less classes at once. But people make it seem like you can't do multiple, people make it seem like if you can't do multiple things, the chat's moving and I like can't read. If you can't do multiple things, you don't deserve an education. It doesn't matter how long it takes though, as long as you do it. And when you take less classes in college, they won't give financial aid. So that's one of the ways they hold us back. That's so true. And totally, oh my God, from like 2000, I had like the most ridiculous burnout. I think it was, and I love how you knew the exact date of yours, Laura Melissa. Mine was like your last big burnout. Mine must have been like 2015, 2016. And I like, it was hard to take one class at a time. Like after like getting out of that a little bit, and there was just like no access for that at all. Like it just like was impossible. Yeah. Some other questions I threw in that we have been like answering as we go along. Feel free to answer them specifically or not. Are opportunities for success withheld from autistic people? How can we like redefine or reframe the idea of success? I think a lot of us have been talking about that. How can we make success? And when I say success, I mean like our right to thrive, not like be in survival mode all the time, be happy, be like, okay. How can we make that more attainable for autistic people?
Well, I think that we have to define our own success. Like we have to just not compare ourselves to others. I know it's easier said than done because people have told us what we should do and not do all our lives. But I think that's a really good reset to just stop comparing yourself. That's how you can reset the expectations and just create your own like steps towards it. I think that's a good way to reframe like because I think we definitely miss opportunities. We're not given the same type of opportunities because of lack of accommodations. Like we might be able to get a job, but then what happens? You know, we can't sustain the job because it's just not welcoming, you know, constantly being judged, for example. So yeah, it's both ways. In some ways, I think miss opportunities or we don't have the same opportunities, but also we hold ourselves back if we can't just stop comparing to like others' expectations. That's what.
Yeah, what I find particularly frustrating is a lot of the expectations are like mandatory, like like even something like a lot of, I don't know if you guys find things like figuring like sorting through bills or like mail. It's like I have to do that. And it's one of the hardest things for me in the world, right? Anyway.
Jersey, you're not going to be surprised. I enjoy sorting through my bills.
I love the differences that like there's so much alike, but like it's not surprising at all. Like not surprising at all.
I have a budget book.
I believe it is a color coded.
No, like I don't go, I'm not, remember, I don't think in visuals, I think in words. So like people make those beautiful bullet journals. I'm like, whoa, that's next level. That is not me. It's just like ugly cursive writing all over the place. But I think in terms of discussing barriers that are put in place, and I'm thinking about what T said about financial aid still, and how like, you know, if you have to take a certain amount of classes to get financial aid, and how, you know, like you can't get married if you're disabled, and otherwise you're going to lose like your disability disability funds, and just these things that are like intentionally there to put disabled individuals at a disadvantage. Like I think like if you look at it, like it's like the thing around like financial aid and class, and then that number of classes you have to take. Like that is valuing money over people's ability to succeed or people's access to education. But like it doesn't even match up because we can adjust the financial aid anyway. So like none of it really adds up. It's all about where do we want to put our money. It's all about capitalism. It's like kind of like how do we change this? And my first thought was burn it down, you know, but like obviously we can't just burn it down right now. I don't even know where to start the burning. Um, but I see so many. Good night, Sandra. I see they're already gone. Well, I see that there are just so many places where success is purposely withheld from disabled individuals, but it's not just disabled individuals, right? It's like there's a whole system that's oppressing so many people in an interconnected way. And I think that reframing and redefining success is huge for us to do on an individual level, but it's gotta also happen on a systemic level because at the end of the day, we got to survive. We do have to survive. We do have to have a means to have home, to have shelter, to have food, to care for our children, to do these things. And like, so while I do purposefully reframe success for myself so that I can be happy today, it's like I'm walking that path, but also walking against this narrative of like, but it's not about just me. Just like how one person can't decide that they're okay with disabled people, or I don't see race, or you know, like people say these things like it's just me. Like if I don't see it, then it's fine. It's not fine. Like there has to be a collective reframing. There just has to be. And that's something that we got to keep calling for, even as we take care of ourselves. Especially, I mean, like I'm saying, especially take care of yourself. But at the same time, if we have space for it, doing that and taking that on systemically, so that way maybe we can actually envision a future. Same bye to tea.
What was, oh, I see it now. I was like, where's the question? Are opportunities for success withheld? I feel like I had to, it was hard for me to answer like some of the questions, including this one, because I felt like a lot of them were kind of like treating success as something that was like measured by others and not something that comes from within. And that's not how I view success or being successful. So it was harder for me to answer them. Because it's just, gosh, society is ableist, because success is rooted in productivity, and disabled people are seen as those who cannot produce as well or as often, and therefore opportunity will not be extended to us in the same way that is extended to neurotypical people. Hopefully that made sense, because I tried to say it all at once. I was like, breathe. So I guess when redefining or reframing the idea of success on an individual level, I can't answer that for anyone else. Like I can, and no one else can answer that for me. Like Maisie was saying, it's like, it feels like so individualistic, so personal. I can't define it for another person, and they can't define it for me. And I feel like it comes from within, and it requires time and courage, patience, being gentle with yourself as you try to figure out what it is that you need out of this life, out of what do you want out of this life. Your creation of meaning, your creation of purpose, that takes time, and it's hard. It's like how often do you see like these seemingly successful people who have the things that you feel that makes them successful, like the cars and the pretty family pictures in the house and the vacations and stuff, and they are still not happy, and they're still not feeling like it's enough, and they're feeling like they're still not successful. And it's because of what they have achieved, what they have gained. It wasn't really what they wanted or what they required, what they needed. They haven't yet found their purpose. They don't actually know what that is yet. So they spent their whole lives chasing like careers, chasing money, chasing all these other things that society tells you you need to be successful. And when they got it, they still weren't happy. And that's definitely true for neurotypicals. And it's like, oops, sorry, my connection was doing things. So I think that both Maisie and Lauren are right in that I feel like success is individual. Success is something that we have to define for ourselves. And I think a lot of what drives me and what fuels me is that I'm bound by no expectations of anyone. Like I answer to no name but my own. And I found my purpose after like so many years of trying to figure out what that was. And that helps me drive myself to want to make not only this community better, but this world better for this community. And that's like part of my success story is one, taking care of me, defining success in my own way. And in doing so, I found who I am, my purpose, and what work it is that I want to do. So I feel like piggybacking off of Maisie is that success, that what you want in your life, that lives in you. And it glows outward. It's gonna touch everything you touch. And then you piggyback off Lauren, all of that is gonna touch your work. How you feel about yourself, how you believe in yourself, how you drive yourself, that's gonna touch everything else. And so that's what drives me. I would not be the person that I am, or the advocate that I am, or the parent that I am, if I measured my success by what others felt that I needed to do to be successful. And that's horrible because I never match up to what people feel like I should be. At least I'm either too successful in terms of being a disabled person, or I'm not successful enough. Like, so I'm never gonna make everybody happy. So you gotta live life for you. And once I figured that out, I became a better advocate. I became a better voice for myself, and hopefully a better voice for this community. Because when I came into this, I sucked. Just put that out there. I was not good. like I had.
I've been following you for a while, and I disagree.
Yeah,
It must have been the day before you hit follow, because I sucked. Like I was not good. Like I didn't know where I was. I was all over the place. I was trying to be like, the popular parent advocates. Then I was trying to be like the popular autistic ones. And then I was trying to I was trying to be all of these different things. And it just wasn't like working for me. And I was drained and I was angry and I was, short temper, short everything. And then I was like, oh, this post didn't work that well, or this one didn't, because I wasn't being who I was and finding my pocket. And that's what I needed. I needed to find what drives me. And that's what I feel makes me successful, and then will make me a better person, better advocate for this community. Because that's ultimately what I feel one of my goals are, is to be a better person for this community and try to inspire others to want to be better advocates, or whatever, allies, accomplices, whatever A word we're using today. It's just like it's always evolving, like it's just always changing, so I'm trying to keep up. But yeah, I feel like success is hard to attain if you are trying to do it based on what somebody else feels success is. And it's not easy. I'm not gonna sit there and tell you it's easy. It took me years to get to from where I was to where I am, like right now, and I'm still working on myself. I still have problems. I still revert. I still go back. I still regress. I still sit there and be like, I'm like, gosh, this person is already at this point in their advocacy journey. Why am I still right here? Why am I not there yet? So I still have those moments. I'm not only human, but I'm a lot better today than I was yesterday, years ago. Yeah. I was like, that's thought. But yeah, but
you said something, Tiffany, that about the a minute in towards the beginning when you were talking, and you expanded on it, but about how the questions are difficult, and it's so interesting because in those questions, my hope and just getting to know you all is this is where we would get, we would get to this point of really breaking down success as something separate from others' expectations, something separate from money, something separate, and it's just cool that I feel we've moved in a way that's gotten us there. But something when you were saying that was making me think about how I have this real belief that neurodiverse people, we, through our work and advocacy, which we should not have to do, and nobody should be responsible or is as an individual, but as a group, as a collective, in the way we can actually change the system or rebuild the system, if it's through a neurodiverse lens, the idea of success would change, right? With all the things we're talking about here and ways that we feel our differences between succeeding and thriving, that we, even if not neurodiverse people often aren't happy with what they saw as the end goal of the white picket fence, et cetera, our struggle to not want that, not be able to attain that, would be it's if that could that could change the whole world, that could literally change the whole world. That could change capitalism, that could change productivity culture. And right now, even in the way we're talking about redefining success, having that isn't even attainable. That different ideas of success is not attainable. Like I keep talking about like getting my mail because it's something I struggle with, but like even like having that to be like the expectation of like bills, something like whether it's about struggling to pay them and or not being like the process of paying them, things like that. It's like that stops us from like limits us from doing the things that actually make us thrive, you know, like having to worry about housing stability, right? Which is obviously like greater in different, like in like different communities of autistic people, right? Like if like a Black transgender autistic person or autistic people are like have all these different levels of like oppression coming at them, and that's going to be like a struggle to like, and we all experience this in different ways, but a struggle to even like envision thriving, because we're like people are as like individuals, we're often so in survival mode. And that made me think, like makes me think of the kind of like anxious thinking about the future that we stop ourselves from doing, because it's like, as long as I can get through today, you know, and the like getting through today is survival mode. And it's really hard to get out of. I think not just, it's, yes, it's about the way we think for sure, that like our thoughts do different things than like neurotypical people, but also like that we like have to participate in all these things that often don't give us pleasure, or we have to figure out how to work pleasure around them. Yeah.
I just want, oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying, it makes sense.
I just wanted to say about what I do is called scalable success, because I have chronic migraines. Like this week, I only have one day somewhat free of migraines. So my success is actually day by day. I think when I'm in this just cycle of migraines, so I wake up in the morning, if I feel good, that day has potential. And then I'll just do my best to pace myself and my activities. And fortunately, because I work from home, and when I go to bed, I have this habit to just reflect. And sometimes I have to tell myself that was not a bad day. That was pretty good. You know what I mean? So kind of to just recap in a positive way, so that is scalable for me to continue the next day. You know, so I think that's important, all this self-talk. When my son was little, when he was struggling, he had this chant, like, I'm doing great. Like that's what he would actually say, I'm doing great. And he was not actually. So it's just kind of stuck actually in all of us. Like it's something that we would say when one of us is struggling. And I have that. I talk to myself, and I have this repetitive thing that plays in my head throughout my day. And I think that's, if you can walk yourself, push yourself as best as you can throughout that day, and at the end of the day, you can say, that was pretty good. I did 2 out of 5. I did something. Give yourself credit. That's scalable.
I do a similar thing, Maisie, or Macy, sorry. I always want to call you Maisie. I don't know why I call you Maisie.
Well, my parents call me Messi. That's how people pronounce it in Indonesia. So I'll take anything else. That's
Let's see. But yeah, I do a similar thing where and this started when I was going through that time where I stopped doing the long-term planning and I was caregiving for someone. And I would like end each day and be like, how was today? How was today? Like really, like take a second. How was today? Because of course there were ups and downs throughout the day, right? And if somebody had asked me at 1 p.m., how was today? I could be like, terrible, this is the worst day ever. But then like it changes by 5 p.m. and then by 10 p.m. I'm like, how is today? And I found at that time that I was able to say, like, it's okay. It's okay. Today was okay, or today was good. And then it took me the next step after I got into that habit was being able to say, it wasn't okay today. And I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to ask myself this question tomorrow again. And like, I actually had to like start giving myself permission then to admit to myself that I wasn't having a good day today at the end of the day. But that came, it was like a process because I used to say every day was bad. And then I was like, every day is good. And then I was like, okay, like it's okay to have days that are not so good. But I do think it's really helpful to check in at the end of every day and maybe even chronicle it, because if there's like a pattern emerging, that can help us to even set up more supports on specific days. If it's like, okay, well, on Wednesdays, I always go grocery shopping and I always wind up at the end of that day saying it was a bad day. Maybe being like, maybe I'll buy myself some blue light glasses and wear like headphones when I go to the grocery store. So that way that day ends as a good day, or I can give that a shot and test some things out. I
I
found
learned
that to be
so
really
much from all of like more than any other roundtable. I'm like,
helpful.
that's totally like I got to think about what makes my day bad.
Yeah, I'm a self-reflection person. It used to be really poisonous through like lots of really intense poetry. And now it's like, did I have a good day? Did I not have a good day? But yeah, I shouldn't say poisonous. Poetry is great. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I put in the chat the next thing we're going to do before we wrap up. I'm going to pass it to Tiff, who's going to give a shout out to one of our sponsors. I'm going to do the other one, and then we'll just like briefly answer some of the questions in the chat. One of them is easy, like, am I supposed to donate money? So we can just like roll through them quick. Can I pass it to you, Tiff? Yeah.
All right, fine. People, I am going to talk to you about Timo, which is a visual calendar app I have been not only using for over a year, but working with for just about that long as well. I love them lots. It's dang, keep losing my train of thought. Okay, it's sorry, like cat and kid. Visual calendar app. You can put up to 5 people onto one subscription. It's available on Apple, Google. You can I'm not sure about what's the other one? There's Apple, Google, and I think it's only on Apple and Android for now. I forgot how much they cost. They're about, I think they have a 2-week
$7 a month.
I think it is about $7 a month. But they do have a 2-week trial. You can do a traditional schedule with dates, times, when you should start, when you should finish. But now they have it where you do not have to have times on there, so you're not feeling like you're under a lot of pressure to finish at a certain time. They have checklists. You can pause, you can stop, you can set your schedule up on the computer. It'll sync to your watch, your Apple Watch, or your phone, or whatever device you have the app on. There's lots of bright icons. It's very customizable. They have an amazing blog section, which I don't think that they advertise that enough, but most of those articles are written by neurodivergent people. They are very receptive to any feedback that you have for them. A lot of people told them about the time limits and the checklist, and they went and they worked really hard to change that, and they added that in there. My family uses it every single day. Yeah, and I just got my husband using it, so he's loving it. He schedules
You
all the
al-
snack time.
You also got him on Instagram, so you're just like getting him in social media right now.
That's success, guys.
I've started private messaging Tiffany's partner, and I just like he doesn't message me back yet, or he'll just say like it, you know. I'm like,
He's
oh.
horrible at messages. I'm trying to help him. He's horrible. He figured out the hashtag, kind of. So we're getting there. Baby steps.
I'm gonna pass it to Laura Melissa to talk about Hickey app.
So Hiki is an app that is a social platform for autistics. It's a social platform that focuses on dating and friendships for autistics between autistics. And it's a safe space for it's striving to be as safe a space as possible. There we go. I feel like it's hard to actually say something as a safe space, but it's striving toward that. And it's got a social feed where you can like talk to one another. It's monitored and by an autistic individual, and the CEO is a pretty cool dude who is not autistic but has an autistic brother. And the team on Hiki is very neurodiverse. So I just really feel like they do a lot to make the app for autistics. They recently rolled out an update like a month ago, changing up a lot of things. They do a lot to try to make it inclusive and to make it safe, because you know a lot of dating apps are like, who am I talking to? Hiki really works hard to make sure that the dating and friendships that are being built and the conversations being had are safer and not scams and all of that. So I just really think that Hiki, I'm glad it exists. I'm glad that it asks questions that autistics would actually maybe want to answer on a profile. I've gone on other dating apps and then I've tried out Hiki, and I really think that Hiki is a much better place to build friendships and dating for me. So I would say give it a shot. It's free as of right now, completely free to sign on, sign up, join in, give it a shot. And you never know, you might make a pen pal, you might make a partner. They should pay me for that.
I mean, they kind of do. Like a few of us work for Timo and Hickey.
Yeah.
They kind of do.
I run like a monthly like love and dating and friendships Q&A Instagram live on Hiki. If you all have questions, come join. I really just like chatting with folks about
So it's
relationships.
not just a dating app.
No,
So-
it's for friendship too. Yeah.
Man, I could have been on there.
And you can still be on there. No,
I thought it was.
I
just
hope
a
we
dating app.
match. Oh my god.
Yeah, so like when you go on, there's like a little, you can say like, are you here for dating? Are you here for a friendship? Are you here for both? And you can make that choice on
That's so
yourself.
cool.
And
I did not know that. I
Mhm.
thought it was just dating. So I was like, oh, this is really
Yeah.
awesome, but I can't join it.
Yeah.
I'm taken. I'm spoken for.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about.
And
Yeah.
I have
Oh, you mean
all the friends I need in this space. This is a great bubble for me. I have like
I thought it
Honestly-
was dating. I didn't know. Now I know it's like friendship and stuff. So I'm gonna join.
I'm not gonna lie, I use Hickey like every other dating app where like I go through a day of like, and then I check it like 2 weeks later and I'm like, who are these people? It's like I hyper focus on dating, but so it really just is it's like it's better because the questions you get asked, but it feels like you're on a dating app mixed with friendship because it's like takes your attention and you lose attention. So like some people hit me up and are like, oh, I tried Hickey, it didn't work for a week. And I'm like, do you try other dating apps? They like, it's just a process and it's awful sometimes and it's fun. And so I would expect the same things, except there will be people there are people who like understand me more often.
I wanted to just say something real fast about what Maisie said. Like I have all the friends that I need right here. And today while we were talking during the roundtable, I had this moment where I was like, what if we were all actually sitting at a round table? And it like freaked me out because we've never met each other in person before. At least I haven't met any of you in person before. Yeah, so it was like this moment of like, this is why we can't imagine the future. because weird things like that.
Yeah, no, totally. It's like everything
What-
would be different.
But
Everything.
what's wrong with being in the moment creatures? Like, what's wrong with that?
It's totally true. It feels like that's like what everybody's actually striving for. At least they say they are, but when we're in the moment, it's like something's wrong with us. This is funny because the first question on the Q&A is like, are you shy in real life? And I thought of the question because it made me think about how different like I am when I'm moderating a group in person. But maybe I've never done it with all autistic people, so maybe it would be really comfortable compared to other experiences. Just to answer that, I would say I'm not shy, but I am very, very quiet a lot of the time. And I talk about very random shit. And then I get like insecure that I just talked about random shit because I'm just like going off, like I just, oh, like, hey, stranger that I just met and we've been becoming friends for like 30 minutes. I'm like going on a tangent about NSYNC now. And, you know, like, it's like, oh God, like really in Jersey. So I think a lot of what makes me so quiet is like not knowing how people are going to respond to the things I have to say. I am not quiet if somebody says something screwed up, especially if it doesn't directly impact me, which I am pretty good about just having a quick remark, but I don't always. But if like I was hanging out with Tiffany and someone said something that was like offensive to Tiffany, and it like I could see that Tiffany wasn't gonna say something, like there's like, I feel like I have a good balance, like a decent balance of like knowing exactly what to say while not stepping on Tiffany's toes. And I used to get very concerned about that because the bluntness really offends the person saying the screwed up thing. And then I learned that that doesn't matter, you know? But I wouldn't suggest that for everybody that's blunt. It has taken like time to figure out how that works for me. Yeah. And other people, like the person I'm saying something about. No pressure to answer, but are you all shy in real life?
Yes.
You're kind of shy on here sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, it always, I didn't talk much in school at all. And I think I don't know if I passed that on to JoJo, but I probably did, because when he was in school for like 4 or 5 years, and only one teacher heard his voice. And that just reminds me of like how I was. I didn't talk in school. I don't know. I feel like when I need to speak, I feel like it needs to be like purposeful and something that, you know, I feel like doing at the time. A lot of times I'm in spaces where I don't have much to say, or I don't feel comfortable, or I don't, you know, I'm in freaking West Texas. This skin. There's not much talking I do here. Like, it's just, you know, Texas in general. I'm shy. I keep it to myself. I like to write more than I speak, and I'm trying to step outside of that a little bit more. Like participating in this. Like when you first asked me to do this, I was like, no. Like I was like, I can't do this. And then when you let me know who all was gonna be like on it, I was like, okay, a little bit comfortable. Okay, it seems like, because each and every single one of everyone that's on here, I've had some sort of like either very positive interaction with, or I have very positive thoughts about. So it was like, okay, I think I can make it. Everybody felt friendly and soft and gentle, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to step out of my shell, record more, talk more. but then everyone that doesn't really know me, or they see me, or they talk to me, they're like, you don't talk that much. You just seem like you'd be so like outgoing. You're so like this. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm a better writer than I am the speaker. And then I get even more shy when someone is like starstruck or something. They'll like get in my inbox. Oh my God, you answered me. Oh my God, you're you. Oh my God, you're really back. Oh, and I'm like, oh my gosh, last week somebody knew me. They like recognized me. I was like, holy crap, Mama, I made it. I'm there. I arrived. You know, and that was like so. But yeah, I'm shy, I think.
Yeah, no, I like literally that. I love that you're like, yeah, I'm shy in person. Yeah, you come off as shy, but when you like get you talking, you know, sometimes I actually private message Tiffany to be like, do you want to go next? Because like when you insert yourself, something fell. You have so much to say, and it's like so beautifully said, you know. Yeah. So I am always like, do you want to go next? Do you want to go next? I haven't heard from you in a little bit. And it's like, of course, never have to, but like, I feel that shyness from you. Like, I don't do that to, I might have done that once to one other person, you know. I'm just like, I'm not messaging everybody doing that. I just messaged the host and the panelists. I'm like totally at capacity right now. I know we only have like 10 minutes, but I'm kind of like freaking out, have to get up and go for a walk. So I'm just gonna like let myself do that and stop here. I really appreciate everybody for attending. Yeah, I actually really enjoy it when it's like a small group of panelists because people get to say so much. I think there's been like 1 or 2 times we've actually had like 10 people in here, and it's a little hard to know how to insert yourself and things like that. But thank you. You're also amazing. I see people thanking me. Also, thank you for coming, and thanks to the other panelists. Like everybody puts work and effort into this. Again, you can donate to us through Autism Career Pathways Venmo. They are our fiscal sponsor. So if you donate like $500, it is tax deductible. Everything's tax deductible, but don't hesitate to donate like $1,000 because you will get it back.
Or $5.
Yeah, but I'm just yes, of course, every donation matters. But if you're somebody who does that sort of thing or wants to be that person because you have the ability to be, now's the time. You're all amazing. Clearly, I'm freaking out and have to go. Goodbye.
Bye. Have a good weekend,
Bye.
guys. Bye.